So, have you ever looked at a sports jersey and kind of wondered like the history behind it? It's like, what does it mean? Why does it look like that? Well, for many teams here in America, there's not really that much of a design or like thought behind it. They're kind of just how they are. But the same isn't true of many teams, sports teams over in Europe or something. That is true of the team that I support, FC Barcelona, and this is their jersey. It's a jersey that has, I think, a lot of, it shows like the values of the club, their history, and that is what I'm doing my speech about, and how the values of the club and the history kind of translate, to my life, what I've learned from it, and what I've taken from it. So I've been a fan of this team ever since I was a kid, about 6 years old, and like I said, a lot of the values and history kind of I feel have translated to my life. So, like I said, on the jersey you can see kind of like the history of the club and their values. And I've taken lessons of like resilience, grit, self-acceptance, a lot from them. So, like I said, I'll be talking about the jersey, its history, and what it means for the culture of the team. So, on the end, there's an anthem that the team plays before every game. It's in. It says, pretty much it translates to, "It doesn't matter where you're from." It's like one of the lines from there, and that can be seen on the jersey. So the jersey has red and blue stripes, as you can see. It's not like 100% known why it was designed like this, but the most like accepted theory is that two brothers who founded the club, they took these colors from their team, like a rugby team they played in when they were younger. But they were English, they were from England. So, yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter where you're from. That's a line from the anthem. And, these guys, they were from England. This is a team from Spain, but, they played a big role in making this team how it is. Also on the back, you can see red and yellow stripes. That is the flag of Catalonia. It's a region in Spain, which is where they're from. It's like a minority region in Spain with their own like language, culture, and they often face like oppression from the bigger Spanish government. So they're kind of like, this is something to be prideful of, pretty much, something they're proud of, their heritage. Yeah, like I said, the design coming from foreigners, the flag on the back, it shows like acceptance of others, but also like pride of who you are, pretty much. So, like I said, I've been a fan of this team ever since I was young. Ever since I was about 6 years old. I became a fan because of my dad. He would watch it all the time, and I was like 6 years old with nothing better to do, so I would just watch it. And soccer wasn't really that interesting to me, but over time it did, and I became a fan of the club. Yeah, like I said, yeah, this club has like values of like resilience and grit, and being the underdog, pretty much. Like they face oppression from like the larger Spanish government, but they don't care. They're who they are. I feel like those are values that I've taken to my life. Being the underdog, being the one with going against the odds. Because I'm a first generation Latino. My parents are from Guatemala. They came here, and pretty much I kind of have like an expectation to kind of make it be successful, make it big. But that's really hard to do as the son of immigrants. But like I said, this is a team that is the underdogs. They're always facing hardship, but no matter what, they always get through it. And that's something that I kind of value myself as someone who feels like they're going through it again, climbing a mountain essentially. Like I said, I became a fan of this team because of my dad ever since I was a kid, and being a fan of this team for that long has kind of made me take lessons from them and translate it to my own life. So like I said, this jersey shows, it's not just a jersey, it shows like, acceptance of others, pride of who you are, and going against the odds even when it seems impossible. So going back to that little chant I told you about earlier, there's another line on there which means, which says Blaugrana al vent, which means red and blue in the wind. Colors that show history and values I feel translate to my life and have taught me a lot.